Have a pleasant journey.
Snack?
You came through then.
I don't break that easy. Name notwithstanding.
You saw that asshole too, right?
Higgs. He's the leader of a separatist group.
Seemed to me like he was controlling that BT.
That's level 7 for you. Higher, maybe.
Seems like you know a lot about him.
Used to work together. Guess you could say we had a contract.
You did business with terrorists? Whoever pays, huh?
He wasn't like that back then.
So what's your angle? You want to save the world, or you want to fuck it all up like him?
I just wished things were different, all right? Here's all right. Don't worry, she still floats. Come on, we're the only cargo left. We should get there tomorrow. I told you before, Sam. The past just won't let go. Listen, I have something to ask of you. It has to do with that asshole, Higgs.
Sam? Sam? Do you remember? It's almost time to go, Sam. I had no idea until you told me. No idea that I was alive. Living is no different from being dead if you're all alone.
Poor Worm. I don't want to go home. I don't want to go home.
Here. It's a dream catcher. Wear it when you sleep, and I'll keep the nightmares away. I'll always be with you. Did you forget how to go home? Come on. I'll take you halfway. And then you can do the rest by yourself. Better now? I'll be waiting for you on the beach. Come and find me. We used to play together a lot in this place.
You brought me here. I couldn't make the trip on my own.
So long as you have a body to return to, you can't come and go as you please.
So you can't just come back east through here.
Not until you make us whole again, Sam. I'll be waiting for you on the beach. Come and find me.
I don't know how you sleep. Need a pick-me-up? Welcome to Lake Knot City. What?
Nothing.
Let's go. This cargo is from Port Knot City, bound for Lake Knot. I'll leave these up to you. The dispatch terminal is up ahead. In the meantime, I've got some business to attend to. Later, alligator.
There we go.
suit. All clear. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
How's it going? Guys like you make me proud to be part of Bridges. Thank you, Sam. Until the next delivery, then. Stay safe. Good work. Welcome. We were watching your boat the whole way. I hate to be a hard ass, but I've got to ask. Everything you're transporting above board? Nothing dangerous or illicit? I'm sure they checked you on the way in, but I'm gonna have to take a second look. All clear. Not picking up anything unusual. Cargo looks great too. Been a while since we got some of this stuff. Sorry for the hassle. Can't be too careful these days. Oh, we heard you were carrying a Cupid. You're clear to link us up. So we're finally on the network. Long time coming. We won't hold anything back. Capital Knot City will get everything. If all this info sharing makes everyone safer, I'm all for it. You can bet I'm not the only one here who feels that way. I suppose it was better when Bridges 1 first came this way. At least I don't remember terrorists and BTs making our lives difficult back then. Well, be careful out there. The world's not what it used to be. And thank you.
Finally made it past ground zero, Sam. Congratulations. And thank you. It'll only get harder from here, though. When we first came through, it was different. Peaceful. The 3 cities out there, Blake, Middle, and South Knot, were all on board with our plans for reconstruction. Fragile Express was contracted by all 3 and kept supplies moving, and people connected. But that all changed a year ago, when the Separatists carried out their attacks. One took out Middle Knot City. They detonated nukes from the old days. Half of South Knot City went up in the other. Casualties were devastating. Bridges doesn't have the resources to link up the remaining cities on its own. We need to secure the support of everyone, even those who want nothing to do with the UCA. Impossible as that may seem.
The situation has changed dramatically since Bridges 1 first went west. The destruction of Middle Knot in particular forced us to adapt a new strategy. It's like Amelie said, we don't have the time or resources to construct another knot on that scale. That's why we've taken to cutting deals with preppers and the like. Our only recourse is to utilize their shelters to bolster the strength of the network.
Takes a special kind of person to live out here on their own. The kind that'll tell us to fuck off if we ask them to join the UCA.
Oh, we know. No one's expecting them to say yes up front. But even if they don't like dealing with most people, they got on okay with Fragile Express.
Don't tell me. You want us to use her credentials to get in good with them?
Bingo. She's agreed to it too.
And in exchange, she gets...
Nothing really. A chance to get back at Higgs, I suppose. I can't blame her for wanting one. He took everything from her and then some. Time heals some wounds, but not hers. The work ahead won't be simple or easy, but it needs doing. Get some rest for now. We'll talk more later.
Here.
For me?
It's called a keeper. It means knot in old words. You can also use it to count stuff. I add a knot when I make a friend.
Okay. Then how about I add another knot every time I see you? This must be very important to you if you were able to bring it here. Very special.
It is special. I made it for you.
I'll treasure it, Sam.
Something to eat?
Why are you here?
Ask your boss man.
No. I mean, why are you here?
Got a delivery for Porter. You're gonna need this on the road ahead. This will ID you as an associate of Fragile Express. It's woven from my blood and chiral crystals. Think of it as a kind of bond. Preppers around these parts won't give you trouble so long as you've got it. We were the only people making deliveries out here. This was our territory. Until Higgs fucked it all up. Me, the Express, our reputation, all of it.
And now you want to fuck them back. On your own.
I'm not on my own. The cave, Port Knot City, next to your bed. So far apart, yet somehow we keep meeting. All that BT country in between where I should have been caught in void out. Yet here I am. Here I am.
You can use the beach?
I have a beach. You've got yours. I've got mine. I use it to jump across space. I can't conjure up BTs the way Higgs can, but I can go after him. Chase him to the beach. Problem is, everyone's got their own way in. I'm only allowed to pass through the beach I know and understand. I'm sure you've heard the term multiverse.
You all right?
The jumps take a lot out of me. Suck my blood dry. You're going to Edge Knot City, right? Place is full of terrorists. But if you're dead set on it, then you're gonna have to deal with Higgs sooner or later.
Look, I make deliveries, killing monsters and terrorists. It's not what I do.
What if we did it together? I could use my power to help you. We don't have to want the same thing to be on the same side. I could send you across my beach. To any place the Chiralian's thick enough. Any place connected to the chiral network.
What do you expect in return?
I expect you to think it over. Here. Call it an incentive. And call me if you need me. This will keep us connected. See you when I see you.
What? Thanks, game. BB, you okay?
Hey, baby.
Phew, okay. Alright, so let's have a little look on the table here, then we'll check out those emails. Oh. I'm kind of actively refusing to drink any of the product placement. Okay, so what do we got here? Two mails. From Jake Wind. From the Wind Farm. Tell Amelie we're true believers. Dear Sam, how's it going? Still heading west? We're rooting for you. We were part of the second group, so we never got to speak with Amelie face to face. Caught the occasional holo message, but that was about it. Still, every little bit helped to keep us going. She's just like her mother. Tough, clever, easy on the eye, too. Won't lie and say I didn't notice. But what really resonated with us was that fire she carries, that conviction, same as Bridget. Any one of us would have laid down our lives in service to her vision. I suppose this is all a long-winded way of saying you ought to move on and meet her like we never got to. And when you do, tell her we're all still believers in the cause, and in her, and her mother. You'll do that, won't you? This is from William Lake. Don't keep the others waiting. Hey Sam, can't tell you how good it was seeing you come over the water on that boat. First time we've welcomed so much as a turd in, must be 2 years now? Some folks were even saying everything east of Ground Zero must have been wiped out completely. The occasional message drifted in from HQ, but people, not a one. We'd half given up on the Cupid ever being finished on the second expedition, the whole shebang. And then you show up, and with a working Cupid to boot, our knight in shining armour. Thumbs up. Sorry, didn't mean to sound like I'm not grateful. I am, more than you know. Every single person here was waiting for someone like you to come along, and there'll be more waiting west of here. A lot more. You best go find them. And we will. Okay, so next time we're going to, continue on. What I might do, actually, is there was a couple of other little bits of cargo I left down there because I thought I was just going to fall over the wall and drop it all. So I may well end up just going to grab those, but we'll do that when we get up topside next time. Oh wow, we got loads of interviews. Okay, I was missing these, wasn't I? Okay. Right, so that one we did, I think. Yeah, okay, so here we go. Die Hard Man. Humanity's biggest problem? Logistics. 5 years ago, Bridges HQ. War and famine have been inescapable parts of human life since the rise of our species, and while the fall of America hasn't changed this fundamental truth, it's fair to say that these issues aren't pressing concerns. Can you imagine the last time you heard of a prepper dying of starvation, much less someone in Knot City? No one's fighting over water or oil or anything else, which isn't to say that people don't occasionally run out of supplies, but that's almost never because of a real shortage. It's usually a problem with logistics. In fact, it was to address such problems that the president created Bridges and developed the chiral network. So yeah, no one's that desperate. Everyone's got enough for themselves, which is what's led to the real problem. It's all too easy for people to become isolated from one another and eventually forget that others even exist. People are free to live for themselves for the moment without a care for the future. The president understood this better than anyone, and I know just how much it pained her. The chiral network experiments between Central and Capital 1 year and some months ago, Capital Knot City. Madam President, this will be your new office from today. The relocation of your official residence has also been completed, and the entire medical team has been brought along as well. Rest assured that information regarding this move has been shared only on a need-to-know basis only. I understand that, following the loss of New York, you wish to direct the reconstruction efforts from Central Knot City, but in light of recent separatist activity on the eastern seaboard, we no longer consider it safe. We will see to it that the people continue to believe you're in Central, and Bridges HQ will operate as normal. As per your orders, the network research teams and delivery systems management have all been covertly transferred here to Capital Knot City. We're doing our utmost to expedite testing of the chiral network link between Central and Capital, while not neglecting your immediate medical needs, of course. This will be our base of operations for the next stage in the fight to rebuild America. Chiral network experiments between Central and Capital 2. 1 year ago. Madam President, I'm happy to report that the trial run was a success. The connection between Central and Capital was established without incident. No chiral spikes or other irregularities. The Cupid functioned within acceptable parameters as well. There's still a lot of work to do. Chiral holograms, chiral printing, and data recovery have yet to be proven viable, but the confirmation that data can be sent via the chiral network is a huge step forward for the UCA. Our next step will be to use Cupids to establish connections with the other cities. Preparations for the second expedition are already underway. We're still trying to track Sam down, but as soon as he's back with us, he'll be given his new command. Mules and local porters. 2 years ago, Bridges HQ. When people hear mules, they think junkies driven crazy by a desire to steal supplies we so desperately need to survive. Lucky for us, not all couriers are predisposed to this condition. Not all mules, in fact. They were professionals once, and some still are. Some even complete proper deliveries from time to time. Fragile Express has been known to use them, along with independent porters. For those at risk of losing it, they say the only way to stave off the syndrome is to join a distro organisation with strong leadership and support to help you keep on the straight and narrow, or you can strike out on your own. But that's no easy path. There's a reason guys who run solo have a reputation for being bulletproof. Likes secrete oxytocin 4 years ago. Before the Stranding, the whole world was connected. There were networks, social networks we called them, that people used to communicate all the time. They shared all sorts of stuff through them. A random thought, a pretty picture, a home movie, you name it. And if you liked something that someone else had uploaded, you let them know by giving them, well, a like. Sounds weird, I know, but that's the truth. Eventually, someone ran tests on the users of this network and discovered that receiving a like triggered a rush of oxytocin. The theory was that it stemmed from a sense of being acknowledged. Even though you couldn't see the person you were interacting with, it felt like they were accepting you, praising you, and who wouldn't like that? But that same process is at the heart of the mule phenomenon. It's believed that an overdependence on the oxytocin rush provided by these kind of interactions is a factor in porters going rogue. With this in mind, it wouldn't be wrong to characterize mules as oxytocin addicts. In essence, they're social animals at the mercy of validation. Okay, BB echolocation. Dead man 1 year ago. Dolphins use a sensory mechanism known as echolocation to keep track of both their fellow pod members and any potential prey. As the name suggests, they produce sounds which bounce off objects and return as echoes, allowing them to get an idea of their surroundings. Interesting in and of itself, of course, but what I find far more interesting is a recent research suggesting that BBs use a similar method to detect BTs. As you know, BB pods are designed to mimic the conditions inside a human womb and are key to preserving the BB's connection with this world and the next. Well, recent research now suggests that BBs are capable of producing something not unlike a dolphin's sound waves. These pulses travel through their amniotic fluid and out the other side, bouncing off BTs and return as echoes, allowing a BB to ascertain the location of threats. Pretty cool. Okay. Chiral contamination 1, Hartman, 3 years ago. Chiral contamination is the result of prolonged exposure to chiral radiation, which is emitted by chiralium, a substance discovered at the same time as the beach. Prolonged exposure can significantly impact physical and mental health. The effects are not dissimilar from those observed in individuals exposed to extremely high levels of stress, levels which can be fatal even. Such traumatic experiences can alter hormonal secretions, impair immune response, contribute to heart failure, and induce strokes. The most common symptom of chiral contamination is poor sleep quality due to vivid nightmares. If left unchecked, however, it can quickly progress a more advanced stage in which the aforementioned issues may be observed. The potential impact of an individual's mental health cannot be understated. The resulting hormonal imbalances frequently lead to heightened destructive impulses toward the self and others. Those dominated by such urges are named homodemons, the mad ones. In case of some porters, such as mules, impaired memory and judgment has led them to develop an irrational obsession with their profession, hence the Homo Gestalt moniker. While it should be feasible and preferable for most individuals to avoid chiral contamination at all costs, there are those with a demonstrated resistance who need not be so cautious. I speak, of course, of doom sufferers. I wonder if that's just what happened with BB there. Chiral contamination 2, Hartman 3 years ago. Chiral contamination can be alleviated using similar methods to those used to alleviate stress, increasing oxytocin secretion through contact with other people, administering smart drugs, and so forth. In recent years, however, a hormone dubbed lycocin, known to mitigate the effects of chiral contamination while also restoring basic physical and mental acuity, has attracted a great deal of attention from the scientific community. Unlike oxytocin, lycosine cannot be administered externally. It is secreted within the body, but only in response to external stimuli. It is said to be a hormone principally responsible for the positive feelings that occur when one achieves a goal, enjoys success, receives praise or gratitude, or any other form of like from a fellow human being. The discovery of beaches and the concept of death 3 years ago. With the discovery of the beach, the fundamental truth of death was upended. I doubt you'll find many who would deny this. Alas, we can say little with confidence in any objective or scientific capacity, for our understanding of this new realm remains in its infancy and is ever evolving, much like our understanding of the universe as a whole. Perhaps the closest thing we have to a working explanation of the beach relates to the conception of a multiverse, but I digress. The beach is arguably both a concept and a reality. A discrete beach is influenced by the mind of the associated individual and therefore linked to them irrevocably. This is why we have so energetically pursued the psychological, psychoanalytical, and neuroscientific angles when attempting to create a unified theory of Death Stranding, the beach, and related phenomena. There was a fad back a while back in which subjects underwent counselling in order to learn more about their beaches, and in so doing gain a greater understanding of the nature of death. Doomed sufferers in particular provided excellent opportunities for study. An interesting theoretical question arose during that period. If a person's beach was a product of their consciousness, might animals have beaches as well? A conundrum on the surface, perhaps, but one quickly resolved. Only human corpses undergo necrosis and become BTs, which proves somewhat conclusively that only a human can possess a beach. And yet this begs another question. If all that is required is consciousness akin to that of a human, could an AI have a beach, an android? I, for one, do not believe so. Why? Because the function of our beaches is to connect the worlds of the living and the dead. If an entity was never born, it has not truly lived and will never know death. Surely it cannot have a beach. Egyptian mummies, pyramids, etc. 3 years ago. At what point can it be said that man truly understood what it meant to die? It would seem reasonable to suggest that it was when he began to bury his dead, a practice which originated with the Neanderthals. In a way, one might say that our growing understanding of death drove our development as a species, our fear of it, our attempts to conquer it. Why, it could be argued our entire history revolves around these obsessions. Take the Great Pyramids of Egypt, or the tombs of the ancient emperors of China. The more powerful the person, the bigger and grander their final resting place. Or, to posit a more radical theory, could the very concepts of power and society themselves have emerged solely to facilitate such monuments, such challenges to the finality of death? Either way, in leaving behind something they hoped might endure through the ages, the builders of these edifices believed that they too might live on forever. The mummies of the Egyptians are another means by which man sought to fulfill his desire to escape the finality of death. They were created that the spiritual self, the Ka, would have a physical vessel, or Ha, to which it could return. The Sokushin Butsu, or mummified monks of Buddhism, are similar in this respect. However, the monks in question aim to transition straight from life to Buddhahood, in other words, to forego death altogether. But now that the beach has brought us into direct contact with the world beyond, our relationship with death must further evolve. The next stages in our understanding is upon us. The corals of the seam, 3 years ago. Life began in the oceans, and as it evolved, it graduated to the land. At least this is what we believed until recently. To creatures of the sea, the land is a harsh and unforgiving place. Given this, what could possibly have compelled these organisms to make such a drastic transition? Consider that fossils of the first fish to adapt themselves to land have been found in regions with unusually large tidal range. Could it be that these creatures developed legs in order to move more swiftly return to the safety of the sea when stranded? Could their evolutionary leap have been triggered by this traumatic experience? If so, could similar circumstances have shaped the evolution of the coral-like organisms that inhabit the seam, and driven them to develop an ability to live between life and death, between time and timelessness? Coral is, after all, older than any organism of the land, and hardy enough to have weathered the mass extinction of 540 million years ago. And it is a life form upon which many other organisms rely for survival. Bearing all this in mind, one could argue that the ability to survive in the seam is indicative of a profound evolutionary leap. BTs are reaching out to us 3 years ago. 2.4 million years ago, Homo habilis started to craft some stone tools. Hands are so very important, don't you think? Our other sensory organs passively interpret data. Our eyes light, our ears sound, our noses smell, our mouths taste. But hands are different. To touch requires conscious action, to grasp more so. To connect that which is in our left hand with that which is in our right, still more. And the handprints we see when BTs seek out humans, why, I'd say that's just evidence of our otherworldly friends yearning to forge a connection. They're reaching out to us, attempting to bridge the gap between the realm of the dead and that of the living. Preppers, fragile 2 years ago. When I was a little girl, my father told me that preppers were people who decided long ago that they couldn't trust their nation to be there for them anymore, that the bonds between us had grown weak long before the Death Stranding. We once had a network spanning the whole wide world that could send items from anywhere to anywhere and connect anyone with anything, but still we were isolated, still we were alone. Some liked it that way, and even wanted more. They wanted walls along their borders, wanted to turn away refugees and outsiders. Some even wanted new nations, all their own. They began to see the state as an enemy of their freedom, not a protector of it. The ones most far gone, they didn't trust their country to defend them if something went really wrong. War, terrorism, natural disaster, you name it. So they built shelters and stocked full supplies in preparation for the worst. And then the worst happened. The Death Stranding. America ceased to exist, and their shelters became their homes, where they would live and they would die. But while they hadn't prepared to live there forever, which is why they wound up relying on us couriers so heavily. My father and I didn't want to go back to the old America. We didn't want a country that pushed people apart. We wanted one that brought them together, that allowed them to support one another, and that was what we tried to work towards. Cryptobiotes, fragile 2 years ago. We call these bugs cryptobiotes. They were recorded in reference books and databases back before the Death Stranding, but nobody ever thought to give them a proper classification, so cryptobiotes they stayed. They're named for the process of cryptobiosis, which means hidden life. When environmental conditions get too harsh or resources too scarce, cryptobiotes can shut down their metabolic process and enter an almost death-like state in order to survive. Tardigrades and sleeping chironomids are capable of this too, but cryptobiotes are on a whole other level. They can survive anything and anywhere, even on the beach or in the seam, and they aren't capable of prolonging only their own lives. Humans who eat them acquire a limited resistance to timefall too. You won't find them lying around just anywhere though. You need to know where to look. Not many people even knew they existed until recently, so next to no research has been done. But now that their beneficial properties have been recognized, I'm willing to bet they'll play an important role in helping us to understand the beach, the Death Stranding, and everything else. Timefall and power failures. Igor, 3 years ago, Central North City. I volunteered to join Bridges, signed up with my brother, Victor. See, we both remembered when America was still America, when we still had planes and satellites, when we were still connected and everything to everyone and everything. The world was different, bigger, and we wanted it back. He was chosen for the first expedition and hit the road damn near straight away. Me, I got told to hang back here in Central, which was okay, I guess. The corpse disposal means taking your fair share of timefall in the line of duty. You get a sense for it after a while, a sixth sense for when the clouds are about to open up. Of course, the clouds themselves are a big tell, and an inverse rainbow is a guarantee you're in for some shit. But there are smaller signs too, changes in the air, smell on the wind. When it hits, you've got power outages to deal with. Far as I understand it, which ain't all that far, it's to do with the high concentrations of chiralium causing electromagnetic interference or something, which also interacts with water and kicks up clouds of ozone, which then makes the temperature drop like a rock. Anyway, I may be used to timefall, but that don't mean I'm immune to it. Believe me, I'm younger than I look. My big brother would take a lot of pleasure in telling you that if he could see me now. The lake at Ground Zero, Victor. When I first laid eyes on the lake here at Ground Zero, I was blown away by the sheer size of it. I never imagined anything could be so huge. This was just after the Death Stranding, and not many people had seen the craters up close yet. Back when I was still living with my parents and my brother on the East Coast, an explosion like nothing the world had ever seen before tore a gaping hole in the heart of America. There were all kinds of rumours floating around at the time that it was a meteor, that it was a nuke dropped by another country. I was just a kid, but even I could tell the adults didn't have a clue, so you can imagine how I felt. And then we found out there had been other explosions, not just here in America, but the world over. By the time we learned there were void outs and what void outs were, the country was pretty much done. But hey, that was then and this is now, and they're looking up. I just got told my kid brother's still alive. Word is he's heading up a corpse disposal team in Capital Knot City. Handled his shit well enough to get picked for the second expedition. 3 more years and he'll be out here with me. Can't wait to see him again. Dooms and the Zodiac, an astrologer. 5 years ago. Astrologers like me are used to having our work dismissed, incorrectly of course, as unscientific mumbo-jumbo, but since the Death Stranding, more and more people have started to take an interest in what's known as astropsychology, a discipline that combines astrology with various forms of psychology. The fact that each person has a beach to which they are spiritually connected has doubtless contributed to this trend. These days there are even psychotherapists who use astrological techniques in their counselling sessions. Perhaps the most interesting recent development of all, however, is the discovery that the alignment of celestial bodies at the moment of one's birth can influence one's relationship with a condition known as dooms. Of course, chiralium in the Earth's atmosphere means that it's difficult, dare I say impossible, to actually observe the constellations at any point. To come to the conclusion that they therefore have no effect on human lives, however, would be a foolish error indeed.